welcome to The Journey. I'm your host, Dan Kinjorski, and this is your other host,
Oh, hi, I'm Krystal.
Krystal. And Krystal, what's your last name?
Oh, I have a last name. Hi, I'm Krystal Barbosa.
Barbosa. And she's one of the therapists here at the Pathfinder Counseling Group in Clarksville, Tennessee. We're glad to be here today. Please follow us by subscribing, hit the like button, and sharing it with others. We appreciate that. Krystal, it's been a real pleasure. I've missed you the last week or two.
Yeah.
You've been so busy. You have children at home
And
a lot,
sicknesses.
huh?
Lots of sicknesses.
And a lot of sicknesses, lots going on.
Yeah.
But today we're going to continue our study, and I'm thankful for another host that we had between our last session and this session, and it was Joe, our
Yes.
intern. He came in and he spoke on Erickson Stage 2.
Okay, yeah.
But today you're going to speak on Erickson Stage 3,
Yes.
the psychosocial development of Erickson, right?
Yep. The ages between, 3 and 6?
6, right, which is initiative versus guilt,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Well, tell us more about it.
So between the ages of 3 and 6, after they've kind of already developed that trust with mom, that safety, they start to move forward and trying to explore their environment more.
Right.
And so the initiative versus guilt is the ability for them to be a leader, to initiate things, to start tasks.
Right.
And quite often, if they don't get their proper support, and which we'll learn as we get more in detail,
Right.
that initiative will get shut down and turn into guilt instead.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I appreciate about this actual stage is we have this stage at home right now taking care of our grandkids,
Yeah.
a 3-year-old and a 6.5-year-old.
Oh, you have both.
And we have both,
Oh, yeah.
so they're fit right into this
Yeah.
Erickson's psychosocial development stage. And it was noted the other day, the oldest, the 6.5-year-old's the oldest of all our 4 granddaughters.
Yeah.
And she was taking a small little cup, plastic cup that she usually drinks her meal with, uses for drinks, and she was filling it with water. And then she would go, and I said, honey, what are you doing? She said, oh, I'm watering the plants. So she would go and water all the plants in the house.
That's adorable.
And that is initiative.
That is initiative.
And my wife said, and I don't know if my wife asked that question or not. I don't know if she asked her or not, but Maribel, my wife, came, she was telling me I was at the dining table doing some work. And she looked down and she said, she's watering the plants. I said, yeah, I know, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is initiative. But I can also see too when she feels corrected.
Yeah.
That the guilt will come out, or the assumption of guilt, or not the assumption, but the perception.
The perception, yeah.
Or maybe the perception that it's not appreciated.
Yeah.
Why do they feel guilty?
Well, because they're looking for you. They're looking for the exterior acceptance that what I'm doing is right, what I'm doing is valid. So they're looking for you to validate what they're doing so that they can continue to do it again.
Right.
And again, through the first and second stage, they've now developed that trust that they know to trust mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, the leaders that are around them for safety. So now, okay, I'm going to be looking for you. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to start playing, but I'm going to look for you to go, am I doing the right thing?
Right.
And how we respond is so important, especially during these beginning developmental years where they're looking for the adults for that acceptance, for that support.
Right.
That it can become, again, very detrimental if we don't respond the correct way. And sometimes it's an accident, but it's very important.
Yeah. So, what is the correct way to respond? Is it to respond in a loud voice? What way?
Yeah. So there's different ways that we can support our children as they are in their play mode. Mm-hmm. So as they're trying to develop these different leadership things, you might see your child trying to be a leader, by playing, cops and robbers, I'm going to be the cop, and you're the robber, Right. And if you, okay, cool, this is great, let's go play. But if you initially, oh, that's a dumb idea, we're not doing that, that's a really dumb thing to do.
Right.
Immediate shutdown, they're going to start having that inner dialogue, which we all have as an adult, but it's going to start being created where it's like, oh, well, my ideas are not very smart, they're not very good, which in reality, that was a great idea. They were just exploring their leadership. Again, that initiative is trying to be developed.
And since I have my grands here. It's
Yeah.
just best to use them. I'm not
No, I
saying
love
their
it. It's
name or
perfect.
anything.
It's perfect.
I'm just saying this is a great
Yeah.
example. Um, I know a part of Erickson stage 3 is imagination because you were
Yeah.
talking about play.
Yes.
And man, it's they don't get a whole lot of they don't get a whole lot of cell time. They don't get any. The only time they're on their cell phone or on a cell phone
Yeah.
is when they're talking to their mom and dad,
Yeah.
which happen to be in the military.
Yeah.
And I was going to share something like that about the military environment. You know, for the first 3 years um, of our youngest, or one of our youngest, the youngest out of our daughters is 3 years old. So
Okay.
the first 3 years she stayed and lived with mom and dad, and
Yeah.
they're going to go back. It's just it's about training and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, we're here to support them. So as soon as they get done with training, then they'll go back and be with mom and dad. But the
Yeah.
point is, so our youngest granddaughter of our daughter, she lived with mom and dad. So now she's having to learn how to live with Mama Lita, my wife, and Grandpa, which
Yeah.
is me, right? And so that's kind of challenging, isn't it, when
Yeah.
it comes to initiative versus guilt?
Oh, yeah. Especially because now they have to re-engage and re-establish that trust.
Right,
We no longer have mom and dad there. Not that you're not trusting, but they
Right.
have to reestablish, okay, now I have
Right.
new caregivers, and
Right.
let me see if they're going to give me the feedback that I've been getting maybe from mom and dad.
Right.
Are they
Right.
going to reciprocate the same
Yeah.
validation?
Right.
Again, it's all about that validation from a parent to
Right.
a child, because that's all they're looking for, is that trust. Am I doing
Right.
right? Am I doing right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to realize a couple things here, especially if you're in the military and you have children and you have grandparents helping and so forth. Is it's the grandparents are not going to be the same way as the parents,
Oh, no.
but there needs to be respect both ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, from the parents to the grandparents, from the grandparents to the parents.
Yeah.
My wife and I. We've learned a lot since we raised our two now adult children. They're adult kids, they're
Yeah.
adults.
Yeah.
They have their own
Oh,
families.
yeah.
So we've learned a lot. So we're applying what we have learned, raising them, and maybe
Yeah.
some additional stuff. But also, we find ourselves reverting back sometimes too, which is challenging. But the point I think I'm trying to make is that we need to realize that your kids are going through some things.
I got to tickle my throat.
Yeah. So they're going through some things.
Yeah.
You know, they're going through the changes and so forth. And what I wanted really, I think what I really wanted to say is a lot. They don't get a whole lot of cell time,
Yeah.
and so their imagination is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and firsthand, and it's just wonderful to see.
Because you missed it with the first time around.
Yeah, I missed it with the first time around, and you know, the things that get scary though is, you know, it's funny, but you know, some things get scary a little bit where, you know, they're acting like, you know, pets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of scary. It's like, what are you doing?
It's definitely unusual.
Yeah, but it's what I like about it. Normally, it's the 3-year-old,
Yeah.
and you know, the older one doesn't do as
Not
much
so
as that.
much.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's funny. It's to see them do that. It's better than them playing, you know, on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, speaking of that,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, speaking of that, you know, we gave a old phone that's non-functioning to our 3-year-old, and you know, she couldn't find it. I think they were arguing over it, right? And so my wife took it and put it someplace where they couldn't find it, right? And my wife couldn't find it. It's funny how she found it, and I shared that with you.
Yeah.
And we're not going to share it on here, but but my wife said, "That's okay. You're going to survive. You're going to be okay." And the 3-year-old said to her, "No, I'm not going to survive without the cell phone." That says a lot because, you know, at 3 years old, she's realizing that
The importance of a cell phone.
the
in our
importance
life.
of a cell phone. Yeah. And Should a 3-year-old be worried
It
about?
makes you wonder though, but think
Yeah.
about that 3-year-old's probably seeing the importance of a cell phone in the adult around her life.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
wow. That's good. That's a good
she's a
point.
very observant little girl already at 3. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
she's very observant.
Very, yeah, you can
Yeah.
tell. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
You got to watch what you say.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know we know that.
They can be repetitive. They
Oh
can
yeah.
say what you say.
Oh yeah.
So again, we're talking about initiative versus guilt. We're
Yeah.
talking about imagination and
Yeah.
so forth.
And definitely, I think one thing that we need to also remember is that they're little kids, and so it's great that we're having them more and more get away from electronics, especially during that age. It's so important for them to develop those skills, that leadership ability to be challenged.
Yeah.
But quite often when we have our kids around cell phones all the time, they don't have that interaction.
Right.
And so we were talking about this sometime last week, my husband and I, this new generation, which they call them the COVID kids, the
Uh-huh.
kids that are now hitting kindergarten, but they were
Wow.
staying at home
Yeah.
more often. They were living off of tablets more often.
Wow.
And so they have a lot more behavioral challenges because they were not exposed or really given those opportunities like the previous generations to be around kids as often, to
Wow.
have that dynamic, to be like,
Yeah.
hey, I want to, play around. Some of them didn't get that as much because of the different scenarios that were being, the
Yeah.
COVID babies had to deal with being isolated more often, with not being
Yeah.
able to go to the park all the time, things
Right.
like that. And so you can see the differences in those kids.
Mhm.
We had a parent teacher conference last week, and the kindergarten teachers are like, it's like night and day.
Really?
These kids' behaviors are off the charts because they don't know how to engage with other kids because they weren't given that opportunity as often as the previous generations.
Wow.
They were stuck at home. They were
Mhm.
given tablets.
Mhm.
They were told to keep a safe distance from other kids. Remember, we had all that safe distancing, which was great for COVID,
Right.
not very good for social skills.
Wow. I
Yeah.
never even thought about that in a sense. So COVID kids are in the Erickson stage 3,
Right
aren't
now,
they?
right
Yeah,
now. And
right
they are
now.
driving the teachers up the wall
Wow.
because they never were given those opportunities. Not all of them anyway. Now,
Yeah.
granted, there are some parents that were very good, and I'm not a perfect one. We started doing a no TV Saturdays
Right.
because for my generation, Saturday mornings was
Oh,
for
it
TVs.
was all cartoons. Yeah.
Not anymore.
What generation are you?
Oh God, I just turned 40, so whatever that is.
I don't
I'm like
know.
in that middle
Yeah, okay.
millennial, maybe I'm a little this, maybe a little that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
my biggest thing is though, nowadays we're trying to do the opposite. And so
Good.
for us on the weekends, we turn off everything and I hate to say it, but we literally have to force our kids to be kids.
Wow.
Get away from the tablet,
Yeah.
go play, no more Baby Shark.
Yeah.
No more, Coco
Yeah.
Melon or Bluey.
Yeah.
Let's go play and give them those opportunities to have that imagination, to
Right.
ask those questions. That's another big one during this stage, and I'm sure you've heard it.
Oh, yeah.
They ask those endless questions. Why is this? Why is
Yeah.
that? I know my
Yeah.
son, he's 5, Mateo, and you've met him. He is a book of questions, and
Yeah.
he's in the thick of those questions.
Yeah.
Where he'll ask, why is Mars red? Okay, so it's because why is that? And then it's an endless questions. And for us, you've been working all day or you're just tired,
Right.
and you're like, where is the end of these questions? But
Right.
they're learning those, those healthy questions. If I ask a question, you're going to lead me to the right answer because I can
Right.
trust you. You're a trusting adult.
Right. Right.
When I ask these questions because of my curious mind, you're not going to shut me down.
Right.
Where it's going to deplete me from asking questions, healthy questions as I grow up. Again, these are those foundational things that are going to develop into who they're going to be as a young lady or a young man.
Right. So it's really on the parents to be able to be patient enough to answer those questions.
Yeah. And to understand why.
Yeah. The 3-year-old asks why all the time. Yeah. Why is this? Why?
Oh,
Why?
yes. Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. And just being patient. And I think understanding the importance of these programs, I think you're trying to create, that we're trying to create here at Pathfinders, is to give parents the understanding of why things are the way they are. Because sometimes understanding the why makes us be a little more patient. Oh, I understand.
Right.
My 3-year-old's going to ask why 50 million times because they're at the developmental stage of curiosity where their mind is finally opened. Like, oh, wow, there's a world beyond just me and mom.
Right.
And,
Right.
And so understanding the whys behind it is really, really helpful. Another big thing, besides like we were talking about the leadership thing, is the decision making. So when we have, I'm sure you've been dealing with it with a lot with your 3 and your 5-year-old, but that decision. They have that power of control. I want to do it. I want to do it. Let me put my shoes on, even though it will take me 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me go find that jacket, even though I have no idea where it's at,
Right.
but I want to do it. And when we say, no, 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 I'll do it, that's when they lose their mind. No, because they want that leadership. They're developing their sense of identity.
Yeah, it's so like the 3-year-old yesterday or Saturday, I was going to take her to the store with me, right? And she had a nice outfit on, and she had nice colorful socks, and then she wanted to wear her kind of open-toed shoes. And I said, no, 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 this is better for you, the regular shoes, because we're going to Walmart, regular shoes. And she had socks on. So, and I said, why don't you wear these? See, they match. And she said, no, I want to wear them. I said, okay.
That's a little bit of individual. Again, that's that power and control as she's trying to learn about her own identity.
Right.
And so it's those little things, but you handled it perfectly. You gave
Yeah.
a great example.
I mean,
or even giving another thing that they talk about during the stage is giving them options. So they feel like they're the leader, they feel like they're in control, but in reality, they're really just picking one of the only 2 options they have.
yeah, right.
So those are great.
Yeah.
But the big part is things that can cause havoc during the stage. That is really important. So a lot of things that you don't want to do to your children during the stage of curiosity, is you don't want to guilt trip them. You don't want them to shut them down. This is a very, very fickle stage because, again, we are human beings as parents. Not one darn parent is perfect in the world. Ooh, I need to stop touching that. Not one parent is perfect in the world, so long as you're trying your best. But just be human and realize that your child is just at this curious stage, wanting to identify their own limits.
Yeah.
You know?
So what does guilt trip look like?
So it can look like, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, you want to go play? No, that's a stupid idea. Why don't you go watch some TV? Okay. Again, guilting them into thinking whatever comes out of their mind is inferior, is not positive, is not useful.
Yeah.
It's going to make them, in the future, we're going to end up creating people who are going to be overly reliant on other people's opinions, on other people's ideas.
Yeah.
That's when you come and you run into adults who are, oh, what do you think? Oh, I want to make you happy. Again, that's how we develop people pleasers. That's how we develop people with very low self-esteem, because it was cut off at the forefront of their development to have that positive, oh, you know what, you have a great idea, or hey, you know what, maybe we can think of a different thing to do. Again, not shutting down the child completely. If you don't agree, if maybe it isn't a great idea, hey, let's go jump off the top to jump into the pool. That's not a great idea, but you know what? You have a great idea. How about we think of something we can do that's safe? Again, rewording it, but not shutting down the child and being aware of our own emotions, because they, at this point, just this point, but at this point, because they're so reliant on your feedback, how we speak to them, the tone, how we say it, what we say. And just owning if we say something, again, that's a little too harsh, just saying, hey, honey, I'm sorry. Earlier, I was not feeling well. I should have played with you. You know what? Let's go play. I feel a little bit better now. Let's go get those blocks and let's go build some buildings. We're not perfect, but being very overly aware of the fact that what we say and do at this stage can entirely shut down or collapse our child if we're not careful.
So, what about how can we support them?
Yeah.
What are some of your notes here?
Yeah. So a lot of the different things that we can do is praise. Of course, it's not, to say, hey, everything you did was great, but great job trying, giving them support during their little efforts, because quite often the little things kind of go overlooked. Oh, Joey's always playing with, his Magna blocks. He's like, that's nothing new. No, you know what, Joe, great job. Hey, you know what? This time you built 2 skyscrapers. That's awesome. Again, sometimes we can almost become immune to being in the moment. And we were talking about that a lot, especially myself. I'm trying to become more in the moment myself. But you said it perfectly yourself, the beginning of this podcast. You said, this recording, sometimes we're not in the moment. And to be in the moment and watch your littles, whether they're your own children, your grandchildren, or your kids you're watching, to just be in that moment and see how they are trying to explore the world and be leaders themselves, and help them, hey, don't push, hey, how about you ask, hey, can I take a turn? I'd like to be the policeman this turn for 5 minutes, and then you can be the policeman.
Right.
You know, we can all take leadership qualities,
Right.
but teaching them, again, we are teaching them how to be the leaders of the future. And
Yeah.
this is just one small step into creating that adult one day.
Yeah. So, what I noticed too with our two grants is that the more you're able to, you know, more you're able to sit down with them and just explain, then they're willing to listen, they're willing to hear,
Yeah.
and then we, work through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is this about right here? And
Oh.
then we'll conclude on the other side.
Okay, so well, one big thing was positive. So parents that let the kids want to help out.
Right.
Again, this is the beginning of giving our children their reason of purpose, their development for being leaders, and we're giving them the opportunity. So when our child asks, "Hey, can I do this with you?" Hey, again, giving those little support, giving a little bit of praise, that is going to move them mountains and milestones in the future when it comes to being a future leader.
Right.
But we need to be very mindful that we can easily break them, instead of looking at, and this is something that I've been guilty of, we bought those little beads that, what do you call them? They absorb water. Orbeez, thank you. I always forget. We bought Orbeez. So there's these little tiny little balls, but you put them in water and they explode. They're just ginormous beads.
Right.
Thought this would be so cool for my kids. Put them in a bowl of water. Well, about a handful turns into a bucket.
Really?
And so before I knew it, there was this big mess. And my kids are they're just having so much fun. And all I'm thinking of is, oh my God, I have Orbeez all over my house.
Yeah.
My husband's like, oh my God, this is the worst thing we could have ever bought. And I wasn't in the moment. I was thinking this mess. My kids are having so much fun. And I'm just thinking mess, 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 mess. And there were even a point, I'm sure, where I was just like, hey, keep them, together. But we got to be in the moment. And sometimes we got to let our kids be a little messy. That's something that my generation especially, we struggle with because we are very tablet heavy.
Right.
We're not very heavy on let them play. Now we're learning, the tail end of it. But we get very into the moment of, oh, but there's a mess, rather than, hey, you know what? You're learning, you're having fun, you're engaging, you're learning how to take turns, all those little things. So we got to be very mindful to be in the moment.
Yeah.
And let our kids be kids while leading them.
Right.
But a big part that I just want to and this is just from the heart of the heart, is let your kids be kids. Let them be messy sometimes. I know it's a mess. I get it. But they're learning, they're engaging. There's those little things during that mess that we can't give them, that the tablet can't give them, that only being messy and being loud can really offer. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and conclude the journey session today.
All right. So this was something that I really wanted us to do together. Think of a time that you first felt either really supported or dismissed, and how do you feel that it shaped you today?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
I thought about this one when I first read it this morning when I printed this. And I was like, that's a really good question. And I think that's something that all of us as parents or adults should reflect on.
Yeah.
At some point, especially when you're dealing with your littles, because that's something that if it was a bad situation, for myself, I didn't feel always supported.
Yep.
I was very shut down.
Right.
Emotions. Oh, suck it up. You'll be fine. You don't. So,
same thing here.
Yeah. So for me, that's something that I reflect on. And I don't want my kids to feel that way. And sometimes we are humans as parents, and we say it all the time, we're not perfect.
Yeah.
Sometimes it will slip out of my mouth. Oh, you're fine. And then I'll catch it. I'm like, no, because the last thing we want to do is shut down our kids when they're in their emotions.
Yeah.
So,
well, I was shut down myself a lot as a kid. And, and you're right. It's complicated.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a therapist.
I love it. I'm telling you, we're gonna make shirts. We're gonna make shirts with that.
Hey,
I love it.
That's copyrighted, by the way.
That's right. But that's the truth.
Yeah. Well, thank you today as we went over
stage
Erickson's,
3.
Yeah, stage 3 of Erickson's psychosocial stage, development stage. Yeah. All right. We'll see you next week as Krystal and I will talk about stage 4. Thank you.
All right.